This is what you could get for under $900,000 in a high growth suburb on the Gold Coast, 4 bed, 2 bath, 3 car space on about 620 square meters of land. I've already reviewed the property. Here's what you need to know. So here are some really high level numbers for Nerang, which I actually really, so Nerang, Gold Coast, obviously we're in Queensland. The median price in Nerang is about 806. Your gross rental yields of 4.4. Now 806 is a really great entry level price, $800 a week in rents. So they're forecasting about nearly 7% growth every single year for the next 4 years. Now that's from microburbs.com.au. It's just a forward projection based on all the different data points that they got. The 10-year growth of Nerang, 10.2% every single year. Last 3 years has been a bit decent, about 6%. I really like these two markers. This one here, there's only 1.5 months of inventory left. That just means there's not much to choose from. Supply is very low and they're going to run out of stock in about 1.5 months. Only 13.5% renters in Nerang. I actually thought that Nerang would be a little bit higher. Vacancy rate super tight, public housing very low, and about $14.20 per week with the median household income. So just diving into some of the due diligence. So as you can see, just your normal low density residential in Nerang, relatively flat. So you got about a 1.5 meter slope on the site, which is totally fine. And then there's no flooding, which is great. So certain parts of Nerang does flood. This property doesn't flood. And then you've got a small bushfire overlay, but again, like that's just, they probably overcooked that bushfire overlay a little bit. You're not going to get any bushfires there. Just checking out some of the median sale prices by pocket. Now buying in this pocket at 17 Saxon, it's about 103% growth over the last 10 years. So about 10% every year for the last 10 years. A couple of the other pockets though, slightly higher, about 127% growth, but still very good. I would then benchmark what the property is actually performing at every single year. So here's what I know. If you just head over to Domain, in June 2019, it sold for 445. Plug those numbers into a super basic compounding growth calculator. So 6 years ago, the property was sold for 445. It just sold for 885. So that means that this property has been growing in value by about 12% every single year for the last 6 years, which is very good. I was then trying to find out what are your neighbours selling for and what's been happening within that actual suburb. So I did find out that the neighbour just sold, so 15 Saxon Street, just sold for 988, but it's a much bigger house, 3 bed, 2 bath, 3 car spaces, around about the same land size, but the actual size of the property is much bigger. But I found out this guy, number 14, just sold for 850, which is round about the 885 mark, which is the one that we were looking at. 3 bed, 2 bath on 642, just sold for $850,000. And I just dived in and did a slightly longer comparable sales analysis. I did find that 36 Plum just sold for 865. It's a 4 bed, 2 bath, 2 car space, slightly bigger land size though, it's 739. 9 Winchester sold for about 950, and then 15 Winchester, not too far away. It's about 1 kilometre away, sold for $915,000. So I do really like the property, cool little reno on it. You probably don't have to do too much in the immediate term. If you're a young family, plug and play, you just want to move in, you can. If you're an investor, there's definitely little things that you could jazz up about it. I'd probably render the front, try and get the street appeal of it, going a little bit more. Maybe an extension at the rear. And then I'd probably look at doing the kitchen at some point as well. So there you go. If you're a property buyer and looking at getting into Nerang, that's some of the due diligence that I've done for you on 17 Saxon Court.